Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Downtime with Downstar, episode 168. And today we are here with Eddie Lee from Titan7. Eddie, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Not much, bro. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we got to do what we can during the COVID times, and nothing better than to I'm honing in my face-to-face skills online, right? So with Zoom, House Party, and now Skype.
Have you been doing a lot of it?
Yeah, on and off. You know, when all the homies get, they're yearning for each other's faces. We'll get on there and do a little drinking together and talk shit. So.
Yeah.
It's nothing different than being in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's been a different time, man. It's been pretty exciting to say the least.
Yeah. Exciting, weird, sad. Pretty much everything all rolled up into one, right?
So. Yeah, no, definitely, man. I'm waiting to see what happens when the dust settles with everything.
Yeah, just a lot of unknowns, but. Just gotta be optimistic and just keep working, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah. So before we get any further, can you just give us like a quick breakdown for people who aren't familiar with you of who you are and what you do?
My name is Eddie Lee, and I'm one of the founders and co-owners of a wheel company called Titan7. And so we've been in it for about 3 years, but I've been in the industry, working in the industry for well over 20 years, and mainly in wheels. And Titan7, our claim to fame is our product is our company model is Forged for All. So I think we're kind of a breakthrough company where we offer like a forged wheel at an incredibly good value. So what we try to do is check all the boxes. We have like a good product, good service, and also good value.
Got you. And we were talking before that we may have run into each other at going to auto salon, maybe even at another meet or something. But I've been a fan of your work for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah, the parties at SEMA are awesome.
Yeah, man, that was a really good 10-year run, I believe.
10 years.
Yeah, we did that for 10 years. Yeah, that was like kind of our side hustle. Well, I think anything that we've done in terms of side hustles, like we've thrown like industry track days and industry golf tournaments, and I love our industry, and just to get everyone together, right? And all kinds of different ways, whether it's we do drift days and track days, and we'll do meetups and K1 like karting, and I think the Vegas parties during SEMA, that all came from, we used to go to Vegas a lot to go party, and we had such a good time and built a lot of great relationships, and that parlayed into, why don't we throw an industry party, and that ended up turning into a really big thing where we had title sponsors like Gran Turismo and Honda, and we brought in like crazy music acts like T-Pain. Oh my God, like Dash Berlin and Social Distortion, and it was a wild ride, but we're not doing it anymore. Yeah, we got to focus on our main. no more side gigs, but anyhow, yeah, it was really fun. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, great times, man. I remember one of the last Honda parties that they had. It was at Tao, and I'm just hanging out there, and then I seen like 100 girls come in a train. They just all walked in a huge line.
Well, what we try to do is, like, everyone kind of talks shit about like going to SEMA or SEMA parties, right? Like how sausage festive it was, right? Yeah. So we try to buck that trend by trying to get in as many girls as we could. So just to make sure that everyone was having a good time.
It was a good time, man. We had a good time. That's kind of my favorite thing about SEMA. You go there, you walk around all day, talk to people, hopefully make some connections, and then at nighttime you just go party and just let loose. And hopefully you make it up in the morning.
Yeah, we know we did a good job when everybody's walking in with their sunglasses and telling us how good of a time they had. It was this past year was the first year that we didn't have one.
Yeah.
And everybody was calling me like, man, my Thursdays are so productive now because there's no party to go to. So.
Good times, man.
Yeah, definitely, man.
But with everything with everything that's going on right now, that kind of leaves SEMA up in the air. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, from what I know, SEMA is still on. I think SEMA is banking on the fact that November is still relatively far away, and that hopefully government, public, everybody kind of gets their act together, and hopefully with social distancing and everything that gets put into play, um, it's not going to be as much of a risk. But who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we time will tell, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I
Yeah.
definitely want to get into Titan 7 and then your career before that. But
Mm.
I'm interested in hearing the early stories, man. How did you even get into the industry?
um, well, I think like a lot of guys growing up in like the early '90s, I went to high school in the early '90s, and especially being an Asian American kid, in like San Gabriel Valley,
Mm,
where I think is probably one of the birthplaces of like car culture,
yeah,
and that's really what we were into. I think kids nowadays, there's so many diversions. Like everyone can get into everything, like
yeah,
immediately become an expert at something very quickly, right? Where back then, that everyone had to pick one max two like hobbies, and you have to invest all your time into it, and that's really what we did. We all got into cars, the Honda Civics and Integras and all of those. That was it, man, and that was the centerpiece of what we spent our time doing, what we were researching, um, and that's how you form a bond, with all your friends, and that's really where it stemmed from.
So at this age, when you got into Hondas, what was the thing that made you attracted to the Honda community or the Honda platform?
I think originally it's just your surroundings, right? Like they're the old school guys before us. They're racing. They're into their A86s, a lot of the Toyotas, and naturally when the Hondas came about, that was like the new platform,
Yeah,
and that was the affordable platform too, right? And that's what kids were getting, and naturally, you make do with what you get,
yeah,
right? So people were slowly starting to build them, and at the same time, you see companies like DC Sports and Mugen and all the real sage old companies. They're already playing with those cars, and you see them at the autocrosses, and they're starting to develop parts for it. I think they're like an intersection came about where the availability of parts and the cars, and that's what the parents were buying their kids, and that's really where it came from. And they look good too. So,
yeah. So what was your
mhm.
first car?
So my uh, first car was what we called the White Eagle. It was a Chevy truck.
Hmm.
We call it the White. My friends call it the White Eagle because the paint on the hood was chipping off,
Yeah.
and so it formed like what they called like a shape of an eagle. So, but my first real like car that we worked on was a Toyota MR2.
Oh, okay.
So I got that in high school. All my friends had Hondas,
Yeah.
and so I was like, I kind of like to buck the trend all the time, so go against the grain. So I picked up, or my parents bought me at the time was a non-turbo SW20 MR2.
Got you. So what were
Yeah.
some of the things that you did to that car?
Um, well, obviously we lowered it. Uh, it was non-turbo, so we couldn't do a whole lot, but we put exhausts. Had the cams redone. We did a 50 shot nitrous, and we hit it, so no one really knew what was
Yeah.
going on with that. And intake, MSD ignition. I remember that. And then I actually got electrocuted in installing that. Not fun. And then um, and it was a really cool car because like people knew it was non-turbo, and so people would hit me up to race, but because I had the nitrous, I'd at least break off like all the stock turbo cars,
Yeah.
like the stock eclipses and stuff like that, and they're like, what's going on with that? But when you go to like the big boy races, and then you see like all like the legendary turbo MR2 guys like creeping around asking you to race, I'm like, not good. So
Just the Hondas.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And my little brother, he had a Del Sol with the B16
Oh,
in there.
cool.
So,
Very cool.
yeah. So it was funny at the time. We had to park our cars outside all the time,
Yeah.
and I had probably way better system in it. I had nicer wheels. I had some Japanese wheels. They're called like P1, like some three-piece wheels. And my brother had Manta Rays, and like a head unit, some basic stuff in it. And because it was a Honda, it always get broken into.
Oh, wow.
And then my MR2, nobody even to look at it because they didn't know what to do with it, right? So,
So Hondas, that was like the preferred platform back then.
yeah, for the most part, yeah, the EGs, DA at first, and when the DC came out, then everybody was, going into that. And then, yeah, and our group of friends, we all formed like car crews and we're all cruising around. And I'd say the majority of the cars that people were putting together were all Hondas.
Got you. So tell me
Yeah.
about your car crew, Macross 7,
Yeah, it's
TM7.
a TM7, Team Macross 7. So, being predominantly Asian group, we're all into, anime and stuff like that. And I think probably for a lot of people, one of the most influential animes was Macross or Robotech.
Uh-huh.
That's what it was called back then, and that the name somebody recommended it. It stuck, and yeah, it grew up to be a really big car crew, and we were winning events, shows, and we had cars at all the Battle of the Imports, and yeah, we had and even rivalries and stuff like that, and yeah, it was really good.
Very
Yeah,
cool, man.
and
So
we and most of the guys we still even most of the guys from that crew we still talk to this day.
yeah, I was talking to Jonathan Wong last
Yep.
night, and
Hmm.
then he was when he did the podcast with us. I remember that he was talking about the car crew as well.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah.
that's cool, man. That's a lot of history right there.
Yeah, Jonathan's has been one of my best friends since high school.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. So,
And high school for us now, that's what, 25 years ago?
yeah.
So, yeah, long time.
Did you go to your 10-year anniversary?
No, no, I was a really bad kid in high school. I wasn't really in school much, but I maintained a pretty good GPA. I could probably say I had, all things considered, I was doing pretty good at school, but
Yeah.
I wasn't going much. So
What kind of
I was
stuff were you into?
well, we're messing with our cars. We just I just had a couple friends, I won't call them out, but a couple friends when we go to school, we'd be walking. I would get to school on time. We would have a cigarette in the morning, and then we would be walking in the hallways, and right when we like face each other, then we'd both give a nod and we'd both turn the same way, and then we'd probably go to like an arcade, shoot pool,
Yeah.
uh, smoke weed, whatever. We were just doing all those kind of things. Yeah, we were bad. Um, but I still maintain like an average 3.6 GPA.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I didn't get kicked out of school. So
The good old days, man. Yeah, I remember that, dude. Just when you had the older friend, it's always the older friend. And then we would just ditch at their house and just hang out. And
yeah, man.
as long as
Yeah.
the grade stood tall, then you're fine.
Yeah, yeah. That like so eventually that did catch up to me and my parents found out and oh man, they flipped their top.
Oh, really?
And oh, of course, when they found out I had so many truancies, so they flipped their top and I bounced actually, and I ran away for like 6 months,
Oh, wow.
and and which was pretty dumb, but I can say that it was like the time of my life. I was like, we're out all the time. I made money gambling and working at the local pool, and I eventually, reconciled. But and the school took me back, so I became a super senior.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, interesting that I still gone to college and everything. Um, but I would never recommend going that route. But I think I learned a lot being on my own like that at such a young age and experiencing all the things that I experienced.
Yeah, it always seems like the rough parts and the struggles that you go through and maybe the lessons that you learn that maybe you shouldn't have learned. They did you well later in life.
Yeah, and thankfully my parents are cool. We're cool with each other, and we had a rough start, but now we're good, and I think they're pretty proud of how both me and my brother turned out. So
Did you feel like you just didn't connect with school, or you just wanted to do your own thing, or?
I think it was a lot of the pressures that you face growing up as like an Asian American kid, because your parents, all they care about is like doctor, lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get into a good school so I could brag about it to my parents and stuff like that.
Mm.
And so I think, you know, in my early high school, I was great at school. I was going every day and no problems. But I think maybe I cracked under a lot of that pressure and I started to rebel. And I think that was probably the main part of that. And 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 now I've developed that personality where if somebody tries to force something upon me, that and I totally want to do the opposite.
Got you.
Right.
Got you.
So yeah, I think that was probably the major contributing factor to that. And you know, in hindsight, yeah, I probably should have been good, but you know, with everything that happened in life and everything that I experienced, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, no, a lot of people that I talk to and they've gone through hard things in their lives, it really seems to help them mature a lot earlier and sets them up for, you know, a better life in the future.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's some stuff that I should have done back in the day that I didn't do because I was just always thinking about the consequences. Just,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's that saying? It was a good idea at the time, right?
yeah, right. That's all that matters, dude. So, did you
Right.
do a lot of street racing?
A fair amount, yeah. So we're out at Sylmar, Ontario. We're really like looking up. We really enjoyed actually looking up to all the really fast guys. Um, but we were definitely out there, you know, racing, messing around ourselves. I went to jail for racing,
Oh no
so
shit.
yeah. Um, we were racing at at City Industry,
Hmm.
and the cops, they were watching us, and then they all blocked us in, right? And so we all got racing tickets. When they get arrested or anything like that, and so we got our racing tickets, and me being young and stupid and not believing in, you know, the justice system at the time,
Yeah.
um, I went in there. A couple of my friends, they got lucky. They got their tickets signed off somehow,
Hmm.
but I was probably too afraid to go that route because I didn't want to, you know, the consequences, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, I got I pled no contest because the lawyer, I couldn't afford a lawyer, so their court appointed lawyer, he sucked,
Yeah.
right? And he said just plead, right? He didn't want to spend time on me, so um, no contest. He's slapped me with a huge violation, you know, a huge fine, and you know all of the other things that went along with it. And being young and not having a lot of money and those kind of things, I just, you know, conveniently forgot to pay for the,
Mm.
you know, the fines and stuff like that. And one day I went to go, I was playing basketball in Silver Lake. You know, my friend had a key to the gym, and we were it was like midnight, and all the cops busted in, and they're like, "Okay, what are you guys doing here? We got to check out your info." And then two of the people, one being me, we had warrants for arrest,
Oh
and so, so we went into. So I went to county for like 3 days. Um, so it was pretty funny. And at that time, I was working at a bank, and I had to call my friend. I didn't call my parents. So I had to call my friend to call the bank because I was worried about getting fired,
yeah.
and told them what happened. And when I got out and went back to work, they're all laughing at me because they knew I wasn't a bad kid. They knew it was for racing, so they didn't really care. But I don't know if you ever watched. They asked me, have you ever watched a movie called Shawshank Redemption?"
I've never seen it. I know.
So it's an old movie. It's about a banker that goes to jail,
Mm-hmm.
and so for the rest of my time working there, they always made fun of me about that. So, but since then, I can tell you that I've never broken the law. So I've been a pretty good.
How old were you at that time?
Probably 18. Yeah, probably 18, 19. Yeah,
What?
yeah, 18, 19. And at the time, it was green light on Asians, so everybody wanted to kick an Asian's ass for some reason.
Wow.
So,
Why was that?
I don't know, probably some gang shit or something. I don't know.
Gotcha.
And so I literally huddled in at the holding area with I remember a bunch of like Vietnamese gangsters, and everybody hit you up like, "What are you in for?" Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say racing because I thought I probably gave my ass kicked because I was too pussy.
Yeah.
So I was like, all I said was, "I have a $15,000 warrant." And
Yeah.
they'd pass by me and they'd be like, "All right." Then, probably probably one of my most vivid memories being in the lockup. I got moved into like this small cell, and they would call you. They would do like a roll call, right? And they call you out by your last three numbers. And I still remember, my numbers to this day. It's 020.
Yeah.
And so and I was trying to get some sleep because I couldn't sleep because I felt a little safer in the smaller pin, right? So I used a roll of toilet tissue as a pillow, and I was trying to get some sleep. And they called out my name, and I was all good. And there's another guy sleeping, and they called out his number, and he wouldn't answer for like 5 tries. And finally, the sheriff is like 562 or whatever, right? And the guy's like, "Oh, that's me," and he runs in there, picks him up, and a bunch of sheriffs come kick his ass, and they're like, "If you're gonna be in there, get your head out of your ass, and learn some English, right?"
Uh-huh.
And then after that, when they started roll calling everybody, everyone's like, "Here."
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they roughed him up a little bit, but yeah, I think back in the days that was okay. But now, obviously, you can't do that. So.
Yeah, times were different back in the days, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to be a little bit more hard edged. So.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I think that if technology was up to par back then, we would have seen a lot of stuff that was going on behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So now, I think more than anything, as a human being, everything you're gonna have to remember here, in your head. And unfortunately, with all the conveniences of the phones, you have to rely on your phone as a kind of a cybernetic implant, right, to help you remember things. So,
have you seen that thing that Elon Musk is working on? The like the chip. What is it called? The link something?
Yeah, not in detail, but I know that he's working on something. Yeah.
Yeah, he just did a new episode on the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, and he was talking about it. I forget, it's something link, but he was talking about it that you're gonna have to cut like a piece of your skull out to put the little computer or whatever it is inside of there.
Right.
And the wires will go inside of your brain. And he said that should be live within the next 5 to 10 years. The Neuralink, that's what it's called.
Right, Neuralink, okay. I'm not surprised. I think that's the future. I think that's progress. I don't want to be the guinea pig.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
I'll take Neuralink 4.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of people sign up for it, and if it works out, great. If it's working great for a while, then who knows? Maybe I'll do it too.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. As long as it's affordable, I could see this causing a way bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots, especially if you have some kind of tool like that inside of your body.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part of what's happening, where that gap between the haves and have-nots, it's increasing wider, and I've been really fortunate to travel around the world, and I've seen countries where that is just a really huge problem, where that gap is just so at the far ends of each spectrum. It's pretty sad to see.
Yeah, definitely, man. Now, as far as traveling, where are some places that you've been that you really enjoy?
I love going to Japan still. I've been to Japan probably 30 plus times.
Yeah.
I love going to Japan. Korea. I love going to Mexico. Europe, I haven't done a huge amount, but I've gone to like Hungary for F1. Partied in Amsterdam. That was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was really cool. I went for a bachelor party. It's pretty wild. And then,
nice.
Where else? Australia. I went to Australia for F1. Australia is probably one of my favorite countries.
Oh, really? Very cool.
Yeah, super cool. Canada it's always been a great time. Yeah, I don't think I can say that I've been to a really bad place. Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam. I had incredible time zone there. Actually, I got married in Thailand last year.
Oh, congrats, man!
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was an amazing time, and I'm pretty sure everybody that went and attended, had a really wonderful time. We had our wedding, and then the next day we were able to rent like a big boat and get on there, and everyone just partied and nurse their hangovers and work into new ones.
How many people went out there?
About 80.
No way.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, and a lot of them were car guys. Yeah, Jonathan was out there. A lot of people from the industry. So like Mike from Evasive, Mike and Tony from Evasive. Yeah, a lot of guys. So it was a really good time.
Man, that's love, bro. I can't even get 80 people to come to my birthday. That's awesome, dude. How long were you and your wife together for?
Well, now we're together total about seven-ish, 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got engaged actually. Oh man, I'm getting in trouble. Probably 3 years prior to our wedding. No, 2 years prior to our wedding, and the reason why the engagement broke off so long was that I was still working at my old job,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize that I was going to actually quit and start my new business.
Hmm.
So, um, and obviously we couldn't. I didn't think it was a good time to spend the money for a wedding, while we were building up our business. And she was still in nursing school,
Mm.
so we decided to put it off. And once things became stable, we decided to, get it done. So,
Very cool. How'd you end up proposing?
so we did the proposal in Thailand, and one of our good friends, he's like a famous singer out there, and go whenever we would go to Thailand with friends, or I used to go there for business. We'd go hang out at his concerts and have a really good time. So I had the bright idea of hitting him up to do it at a concert.
Mm.
And most of his concerts, they're like really intimate type of settings. So I was like, hey, when we do our friends trip in Thailand, can I do proposal?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So when I followed up with him, he's like, okay, let's do it at this event. And it's kind of like the Coachella of Thailand. And so I ended up, at first I didn't want to do it, but he's like, don't be a pussy. And I was like, oh, fine. Okay, I'll do it. So I ended up proposing in front of like 50,000 people. So,
Wow, no way.
yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. It's really,
Did your wife know that you were proposing?
oh no, absolutely not. She was like, why are we going on stage? We were backstage and just enjoying the show. And she was just in a daze, and obviously it was really cool because the whole crowd was really into it, and our buddy Bryn, the singer,
Yeah.
it pumped him up because the crowd was going off, and he started getting into his songs, and it was a really special moment.
Very cool, man. Congratulations again, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Marriage is a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like even during COVID, us being around each other, we're in each other's faces all the time. We're still enjoying each other and not, not
Yeah.
killing each other. So I know I definitely picked the right person to be
I
with.
think that's the true test right now, things that are going on, if you could stay at home with them.
Yeah. So it's been funny. Like now she's so used to me being around all the time because we both have hectic lives.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had to go run a bunch of errands, and she's pretty much like, when are you coming up?
Yeah.
I was like, you can't be that used to me because when life gets back to normal, I'm not going to be around as much, right?
Yeah, man. We've been having so much fun lately, dude, that right when
yeah.
I get off work, go home, we'll hang out, make dinner, and we've been
Mhm.
going on bike rides.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a few weeks back I was just talking to my wife. I said, "You don't even know how to ride a bike." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, I never seen you ride a bike." So that night we went for a bike ride around the neighborhood, and it just made me feel like a kid again. I'm like,
Right.
man,
Right.
this is what it's all about, dude.
Yeah, it's cool because you see a lot of people just out into the neighborhoods now, just walking,
Yeah.
enjoying the outdoors,
It, it's
as they
weird.
should be.
It's weird, man. I feel like people were kind of in a daze. We were in the rat race. This is what we have to do every week. And then the weekends we got to go to soccer or do whatever. But once all that ended, it kind of made you realize, like, man, we don't need to do all that stuff to have like a good life.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
and it's really
Yeah, life
making me
just
evaluate a lot of things.
yeah, life just all of a sudden got a lot more simple, and you have to start focusing on more singular tasks, right? So like you talked about cooking dinner, like I think one of the outcomes of this is everyone's going to turn into a master chef, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's hopefully he's going to turn into a master cleaner or a janitor, right?
Something.
You're cleaning all your stuff, cleaning your hands, right?
Yeah.
And just tasks that, that you start to appreciate things like being able to just go to the market.
Yeah.
Right. Like before you're like, oh man, I can't, you get all pissed off if you have to go. Now it's like, I got to get in there. And being able to feed, our family. Right. So you appreciate food, you appreciate a lot of simple things and a lot of simple services. And that, translates to our appreciation also to like healthcare workers and a lot of other people that, frontline people that you typically, kind of neglect during times of peace. Right.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think after this, a lot of people are going to have appreciation for the smaller things, which was missing a lot. We always had our eyes on the big prize, and you want to be rich and famous, fast cars, big houses, but you're not paying attention to what you have right in front of you at that moment. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsors, and we'll be back in 1 minute. We all know that there's tons of places you can buy your car parts at, but when you really need help, who's in your corner? When you need parts for your Honda, you need to visit HeelToeAuto.com. Since 2002, Heel-Toe has built a reputation for service and support. Let me repeat that, guys. Since 2002. It's 2020 right now. That's a long time of experience, man. These social media slingers and copycat web stores can't match Heel-Toe's professionalism. Heel-Toe even offers a complete OEM store for all your genuine parts needs. Whether it's for show, race, or just a badass daily, remember that HeelToeAuto.com is in your corner. And guys, if you're on Instagram, make sure you check them out at Heel-Toe Automotive. Please go to their page right now, add them, and comment that you heard them on Downtime with Downstar podcast. Next up is Downstar. Downstar is the premium leader in dress-up hardware and engine bay accessories. We have all the nuts and bolts for all your screwing and nutting needs. From engine kits, transmission kits, mount kits, clutch lines, brake kits, t-shirts, skateboards, hats, lighters. Damn, we got it all. We actually have too much, guys. So if you can, please come over and buy some stuff at downstaring.com or check us out at Instagram at Downstar. Make sure you give us a follow. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, like, oh my God, like these past 4 weekends, a bunch of car guys have been getting together and we've been taking drives through Angeles Crest, the mountain areas. And, just to have that mixture of being able to get in your car and be free a little bit. And then, when we get to the meetup spot and we all get together and we socially distance, just hang out, talk. And, you're also being in like nature. And after you come home, you learn to realize, like you got to really appreciate life and all the blessings that are afforded you.
Yeah, definitely, man. Hopefully everybody's doing good out there and just trying to stay positive with everything. But I want to take it back a little bit. So back in the day when you're at the street races, who were the Torettos? Who were the big name guys, and maybe some of the guys that are still around to this day?
Going to the races, you saw like the beginnings or the underpinnings of a lot of the big people that you see today. I would say, going back in the days, a lot of the fast guys that I remember were like Wicked Racing, Cyber, like super, OG guys, right? Steph Papadakis. I think a lot of the young people, and current, my generation, we all know who he is. And then, back in the days, he was out there. I think he had an H22. He was doing those swaps, and you can see the underpinnings of that, how he was figuring things out and developing his technical skill into a lot of things that he was doing today. I had, let's see, what was a pretty interesting one? Yeah, like back in the days, like I don't know how the street races are now.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're going on, and I know people are doing all those takeovers.
Yeah,
all that crazy stuff. But back in the day, it was about money. Mm-hmm. And my generation, I would say, we're kind of like that in between. Like the old school guys were racing for big money. Like all the guys that I hung out with that are a lot older than me in the industry, they would tell me how they would race for thousands of dollars, and they'd have to have a middleman hold the money, just in case. And they were doing everything, every little trick in the book they could to get an edge, right?
Yeah.
They're doing burnouts of Coca-Cola and, or like they would like scout out the track and if there was a sprinklers going off on one side, they make sure they're not on that side, and they would never pop hoods.
Yeah.
Never. And they would race for big money. I've seen people race for motors.
Wow,
I think, yeah,
motors.
yeah. One time I think it was Wicked versus somebody else, and we were there watching it. And they had slicks. They were doing burnouts, and I think Wicked won. And immediately right after, they took it to the shop to take out the motor. So
Wow, dude, I never
yeah,
heard of that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Um, but yeah, a lot of interesting, yeah, a lot of stuff, and obviously the adrenaline that you had of running from the cops,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think the guys that I remember seeing, probably like the Wickeds, and a lot of those guys ended up in the industry. So
Yeah.
like JoJo, Steph, Viet Lam, all those guys. I
Yeah.
still remember them. Um, and I think that parlayed into the battle of imports,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of those guys that were pretty big on the street, they're now going to Frank Choice events,
Hmm.
and we were, at that time we were still young and a little bit slower, so we would go to all the beginning events and just goo goo gaga over all the cars and everything like that, and then we started to come up and we started to bring in our fast cars too.
Do you remember when Steph and the Bergenholtz were going at it?
Yeah.
When
Hmm.
what was
Yeah, yeah.
that like?
Um, well, I don't remember them having beef. Did they have beef?
No, it wasn't beef, but it was
Or just
about
racing?
when
Just
yeah,
racing?
with the racing, and then
Oh
when
yeah,
the wheelie bars were coming
oh
out,
yeah,
and
yeah. That was the beginning of innovation, right? Right? Like I think Ron and Ed were doing the wheelie
yeah.
bars. They did it first,
Hmm.
right? Um, but what crew was Ron in? Was he in Wicked? Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
he
in
was in
Wicked too,
Wicked.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They were in Wicked too. So, um, oh my God! Like I just remember the one thing I appreciate about Ron and Ed's cars were that they had their Integras were show quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were show quality, but at the same time they're really fast. I think Steph's cars were a little bit more innovative, technical. Of course, that parlayed into all of his like tube frame and a singular race cars, right? Um, but just to see them line up and oh my God, like once the first car would break 11s, right, or even 12s,
Yeah.
right, we would all be like hooray, and be so excited, and um, just the thrill of seeing somebody break that was just incredible, right? And then even one of our guys, he broke into the 11s when that was super fast, right? And the car was built by JG. Remember all those names, JG and
Yeah.
Pit Crew and all that. All this stuff's just coming back to me. Like I haven't gotten so long, right? And and to see just progression, right? Every season we're just like, okay, who's going to break into the 11s now, right? And that was like the big question. And then after that, the 10s, and of course, Steph came out and broke into the single digits, right? And that was just awe inspiring. And then to see that grow and become a nationwide phenomenon, and then also then you see the international guys like Signal and all the other Japanese tuners starting to bring their cars. Apex brought a crazy Integra back in the days, and
Mm.
they try to compete and to bring that JDM flavor to what we were trying to do, which was kind of like a grassroots movement.
Yeah.
It really just legitimized and helped to really propel that into like new heights.
Yeah, definitely, man. No, I know Jonathan was really big into the JDM stuff. Were you as well?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, I loved just as a kid, we'd go to like all the bookstores just check out all the parts. Um, we were at tuning, like the speed shops. That was basically what we did, right?
Yeah.
If we weren't shooting pool or like messing with cars, we were at the shops just hanging out. Always asking for prices.
Yeah.
Knowing that we couldn't afford it, and and then go to some of the nice shops and you see some of the premium Japanese parts, and you just wow. At the time you would just see these 3-piece wheels, and you just be amazed at how awesome they were. And then some of the guys that were fortunate enough to put those on their cars, oh my God, everybody would just go crazy over it. And then when it was our turn and when we were starting to put those things on, yeah, it was just such an awesome feeling. And yeah, JDM, I was maybe not as crazy into it as Jonathan,
Yeah.
uh, but I would say that I knew the brands, um, and if I was ever interested into a platform, I would always go through like a hyperrev and try to learn everything I can about it, so I could be pretty well versed and knowledgeable about it.
Got you. So, what were some of the shops back in the day that you would hang out at?
I'd say Pit Crew. Pit Crew was probably our home base for a
Pit
very
Crew.
long time.
Okay.
Yeah, Pit Crew in San Gabriel Valley. We hung out at Promotion a lot. That's like
Promotion?
yeah, Promotion. So they were one of the OG. See, Promotion and Carmate. So those are the two, like Promotion and Carmate are super OG shops, right? And those two businesses actually parlayed into really big distribution houses. So Carmate turned into Options Auto Salon, which is still going on
Okay.
today. And then Promotion, they turned into a really big distribution company. And the cool part is as I started, working for, my old job, Mackin, I started developing, interesting relationships because before I was a customer,
Mm-hmm.
and then I became a vendor, and then I got to see kind of all sides of the business, right?
Yeah. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
very cool, man. I just want to pick your brain about all this old school stuff, man, because I've just been talking to so many people that have been in the industry longer than I have, and
Mm-hmm.
just keep hearing the same names come up, the same shops, and it's like all making sense now,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, every back in like the '90s and early 2000s, every community had like a go-to shop.
Yeah.
Like the South Bay, I remember had like ES, Technical Road Sports, and um, like the East Side, like Roland Heights and Walnut. There was like Robocar,
Oh,
right, and
okay.
V Spec, and all these other shops, right. SP, came about, right. Oh my God, in San Diego, they had their shops, right, and I think during like what we call like the golden era, like right before Fast and Furious happened, and
Yeah.
probably during that time, and those shops they were doing really well.
Now, what happened after the movie came out?
I think it brought it into the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see like, just like shops pop up all over the country,
Mm-hmm.
turning into really big businesses. And at that time, that was just like the thing to do. So if you open up a like a car parts store, it didn't matter if you knew it didn't matter if you knew what you were doing. You were probably still doing well,
Yeah.
right? And then you see like the rise of like Nopi, on the East Coast, right? You see, Paisley had his, business out in the Northeast, right? Um, huge tuning shops in Washington and Texas or whatnot. They were just popping up and just turning into really big powerhouses.
So Nopi was a an East Coast brand.
Yeah, Nopi's was in Georgia.
Okay.
So they originally started out, I think maybe in the '70s or whatnot, as a like a bug, like a VW parts
Got you.
business. And then as the Honda tuning started to really come online, they really took the mail order business platform to
Mm-hmm.
the next level. So they started spending, big money. Everyone knew who they were because if you look back in the days at Turbo Magazine or Super Street or Sport Compact Car, a lot of those old magazines, they were taking out like 6 to 12 page ads,
Oh
right?
wow.
Right. So everyone knew who they were, and so they were like kind of up in the game in terms of a mail order business, right? So they
Yeah.
got really big, really strong, and that led to them throwing these events called the Nopi Nationals. And so we used to have to go to those, and those were crazy. You see like 30,000 kids and thousands of cars, filling up like a Atlanta Motor Speedway,
Mm.
and just the crazy shit that you see going on of people partying,
Yeah.
doing burnouts and all that. That was like the real takeover. So
I miss those Nopi days, man, but they sound pretty awesome.
yeah, they were wild, man. You just see like kids take over like hotels and they're just all fucked up throwing furniture into the pools, and
Yeah.
it's just crazy, crazy shit. So it was a wild time.
I
It
think the
was good.
closest we ever got to that was Import Alliance in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, okay.
So Import Alliance, they would do like a small tour, like the Midwest and things like that. But the summer meet was in Tennessee. So there was
Hmm.
one hotel that everybody would stay at, and that was La Quinta.
Right,
And
right.
Dude, it was insane. And the last year that they had it there, it was 2011. That was like, I can understand why it was the last year. They're setting off fire alarms and fire extinguishers and throwing TVs out. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't do it, but I like watching it.
Yeah, because the hotel is, you could pay with cash. I'm like, what kind of 1940s business is this that you pay for a hotel room with cash? Here's $100. We're gonna go fuck it up.
Right. Oh my god, it's just amazing how many shitty hotel rooms I've stayed in.
Dude, one time I went to it was for Import Alliance again, and I went to Kentucky, and I just booked a hotel room. So I was like, oh, it's just $100 a night, whatever. We're just gonna sleep there and not. Dude, we get into the room and there's a full size refrigerator, a full size. I'm like, that's kind of strange. And then I'm just looking at the room a little closer, and there's like swastikas carved into the wall. And I say, yeah, I'm out of here. I don't even care about a refund. I'm out of here.
Yeah, that reminds me of I think it was like one of my first Nopi trips, and so I was with this gentleman, Scott Connemara, and a lot of people would say he's definitely one of the older cats in the industry. He's been all over, and he was my mentor and my manager at the time, and the first issue that I had was they lost my luggage.
Oh shit!
So that's one thing I remember. So I had to wear Mackin shirts, but I had to borrow them from Scott, my partner, because they lost they lost my bag. But he's like a double XL, so it looked like I was wearing like a muumuu. And, so that was kind of embarrassing. And back in the days, all you can do to navigate, you have to go to like a 7-Eleven and buy a pack of cigarettes and a Thomas guide, and we'd have to out how we would go. And I remember we got lost in like the backwoods of like Georgia.
Oh shit!
And this is like at night, right? And then you'll see like trucks, rolling around with Confederate flags and stuff like that, and and so I was like, okay, I think we're lost. So let's go to the gas station. So I went to the gas station. Scott was pumping gas, and then I go to the counter, and then I open up a Thomas guide, and I'm like, excuse me, we're pretty lost. Can you like help us get to the speedway or wherever we're going? And he looks up at me, he's like, nope. And I look at him like, you have a nice day.
No way.
Yeah, and I go over to him, I'm like, hey man, I think we should get out of here.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing happened, but just to experience that, and like being from LA and being so like mixed up and everything like that was pretty wild. So
I really didn't start like realizing, I don't want to say racism, because I really didn't experience racism, but kind of segregation until I started traveling a lot more. When I was younger, my dad, he would drive like 18-wheelers, cross-country trucks. So one summer I went with him, and I remember we went to a restaurant and we walked in and everybody just stared at us. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird, and then just traveling more to the south and more in my older years, I realized like it's very segregated still to this day.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, I just took a trip with my partner James we went to Hyperfest. So we were in the Carolinas last year, and we went to a Bojangles, right? So we eat some fried chicken, and it was funny because it's a very predominantly white area, and so we would walk in there, and everyone would just kind of give us like a look like, oh, they're not from around here, right? Yeah. So, which is totally fine, right? And and everyone's super nice out there, right? And I love the people out in the Carolinas. Yeah. But the part that cracked me up was there was some Indian guys rolling in, like Indian, Asian, from Asia, right? Like not Native American. Yeah. Indian guys rolled in, and then they had a Carolina accent, and then they started ordering chicken, and they looked at us like, "What the hell are you guys doing here?" And I'm like, "The hell are you guys? What are you talking about?" So, but it's just funny. But yeah, I totally experienced that. I've been in like Indiana or, in just small town getting gas, and you go into a McDonald's and everyone kind of like, what the hell? Even the kids are like, they look at us like we're aliens, but it's all good. Just look and smile, and it's all good, man.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And I don't blame a lot of people, because if you're not fortunate enough to leave your city or a 50-mile radius from where you're from, you don't really understand the rest of the country. And if you see California from TV or New York on TV, you think that it's a totally different world, and it is. We're experiencing so many different things out here that people would, like in Indiana or something like that. So I always take it with like a grain of salt. Maybe some of the things, it's just that they haven't had the privilege to experience different cultures and different ways of thinking about things.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when I do travel, I always do my best to really experience, like, I don't go for like your typical like cookie cutter restaurant or chain restaurant. I look for like just the down home,
Yeah.
just original, authentic cooking from wherever I go. And oh my God, like it's, I'd say we're definitely blessed to have tried, a lot of different cuisine, talk to people about it. Um, just experience those things, and hopefully, if we with our interactions, maybe educate, other people about, just that there's other people out in the world, and make a positive impact.
Yeah, as fortunate as we are to be from California, and we always just look at the rest of the country like they're crazy or they're making the wrong decisions. But I just don't think that we look at it the other way, that maybe that they weren't as fortunate to be born over here.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to people and they break it down so well. They say that we won like the lotto for just being born in the United States. And
Sure.
then we're born in California, and then
Mhm.
SoCal, and then close by the beach. So there's so much privilege that comes with, just where you were born at. And there's a lot to, there's a lot of things that people need to open their eyes about, but it's really hard, especially if your whole family thinks a certain way. And I'm not even talking about racism. I'm just talking about, ideas and the way that you would live your life. If somebody from, say the North Carolinas or something like that, if your whole
Mhm.
entire bloodline thinks a certain way, it's so hard to break out of that train of thought. and
Sure.
and
Right.
you're going to be looked at as the outcast, and it's going to be a hard road. But once you break that trend, then you can change the way that your bloodline goes.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think it's really important for everyone to keep an open mind and to at least absorb everything that's going on around them. And if you have this predisposition to anything, that it just muddies like the outcome. I think, right? You want to just absorb it and then take in everything and then figure out, how you want to think or how you want to act. I think that's a really important thing. So just open mindedness. You don't have to agree with everybody. It's all good, but at the same time, you don't have to be militant or hostile. It's just like, hey, if that's the way you think, it's all good. You
Yeah.
still, um, I'm not going to get mad over that, right?
I
So.
think traveling has definitely given me a much broader perspective on life and culture and things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting, like just traveling outside of America, right? Oftentimes, Americans get a bad rap.
Yeah.
They think we're, obnoxious, or, we're, pampered, and, and I think it's, the few times that I've been able to talk with people, from outside and interact with them in a positive light. It's been probably one of the best experiences of my life. I don't know. One quick situation that came to mind. I was in a China for business, and I went to like a big dinner, with our partner factories, and some of the people in there were Iranians,
Mm-hmm.
from Iran,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we sat down, and at first, because of all the media and everything like that, you're slightly uncomfortable. But then once we started talking, we started sharing drinks together. They told me how much they love Mustangs. That's why
Yeah.
they're here trying to sell Mustang parts. And we talk about car culture, and that's why I love car culture, because it brings people from all walks of life, whether it's scumbags all the way to doctors, and educated to the uneducated, and people from all walks of life. You bring them together and you start talking about cars, you're instantly, in a brotherhood.
Yeah, and it definitely makes you humanize people that the media doesn't want you to humanize. When you
Hmm.
meet somebody from a part of the country that the media just keeps putting down, and then you meet them and you're like, yeah, this person's pretty cool, and then it kind of makes you think like, hey, maybe a lot of the other people over there are pretty cool, and like, hey, what the hell's really going on over there?
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think at the core of everything, everyone's a human, and you got to respect each other. And once you kind of cut through all the bullshit layers, you realize, yeah, people aren't so bad.
Yeah, especially from watching 90 Day Fiance, I realized that everybody is crazy all over the world.
Yeah, everyone can be definitely crazy. So,
So let's get into Mackin, man. How did that become that you started working for Mackin?
man, it was it just all just kind of happened. Back in the days where again we were just our lives were centered around cars, right? But I didn't really think that would be my calling in life, right? Selling, basically selling car parts, right?
Yeah,
And I was, working at a bank, studying to get into that field, right? Finance or anything related to that. And but being a car guy, I had the opportunity. I interviewed to work there, and they hired me, and I thought it'd be just a fun summer job just to score parts, especially like like who in their teens could afford buying like Volk racing wheels, right? And
yeah,
that was right when that program just started happening in America, and I was like, wow, I could get on the ground floor, and I could get some good prices on it, and then after I just fix my car and I bounce, right?
yeah,
Right, and then all of a sudden. Working there 1 year became a couple years, and you started rising up. I, became sales guy to sales manager to general manager, all in a relatively short period of time. And it was a really interesting time because when I started there, it was like in 1998,
yeah.
and that it was still a very analog world,
Okay.
right? Like AOL was barely happening. Um, all of our business was for sure done on a notepad,
Hmm.
right? Pen and paper, making phone calls, and then you're just hustling, right? And to work in a situation where you transition from analog, and towards the end of my career working there, everything was all digital,
Yeah,
right? Right? Phones. I didn't have to use Tom Skies to travel, and thank God I don't have to use that kind of shit
yeah.
anymore, right? So to see the progress during and the transition during that career, it was definitely very interesting, and it's a pretty awesome thing to see. Um, but I love the people, I love the brands, I love the innovation. All my training came from there, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and it being like a basic, relatively like small family run type of business, you're not like, when you're in the corporate world, you have very singular jobs, right? Whereas in a smaller business, you have to do everything. Yeah, you're essentially just running a business,
Yeah.
everything from the money side, the parts side and negotiations, and then to the sales side and the service side. You have to deal with all that. And basically, all my chops, I just busted ass there, learned everything, and that really prepared me for my next job.
So, what year was it that you stopped working there?
It was 2016.
Okay, so from 98 to 2016, you were there.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so when you first started working there, you just wanted to use it for the discount. I've been there before, worked at stereo shops just to get some JL on the low. But
Mhm.
what when did you realize that this was turning into a career for you and something that you were going to be there for a long run?
I'd say just pretty much like a year, within a year into that, I dropped out of school,
Hmm.
of college. I was still working, for the bank part time, and I quit that, and I put all my energy into, Mackin, where I was really interested in growing the brands. The interactions you made, like calling all the shops and making lifelong friends, afterwards.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the travel, the crazy times we had. We're just traveling, all over the country, visiting cities, especially as like a guy in his early 20s, um, just flying all over the place, attending events,
Yeah.
meeting all kinds of awesome people, going to shows, just all the crazy thing that goes along with it, like the partying and going to races and um, seeing factories, going to Japan,
Yeah.
and all those things like that. That was starting to happen very quickly. So I knew how much it was something that I fell in love with, and obviously I did it for 18 years, so so it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Did you start to progress there pretty early from your entry level job?
Yeah, yeah. I moved up pretty fast. Sales management, then eventually became general manager, running, your own division, your own departments. Um, and it was a full-time job because you had to interact with all the factories in Japan, at night. Um, and then all the stuff that you have to do during the day. And actually, the stuff that I was working on, just the aftermarket, it parlayed into working on OEM programs. So I worked on OEM programs for Nissan, Mazda,
Hmm.
um, racing programs for like BMW Motorsport. So I got to work with like Rahal Letterman. That was super awesome. We're supplying wheels for their M3 GT program, and just providing, helping out racers, all over the world. It was just pretty awesome time.
Got you. Now, you have an M2 right now, don't you?
Yeah, it's a shop car. So we have a within our shop we have an M2 that we've been beating up a lot, and we have a Ford EcoBoost Mustang that's
Okay.
been pretty fixed up. So we have that, and then our partner Aaron, he has a Civic Type-R,
Yeah.
like the spoon, Civic Type-R. So we've been beating up on that, and we've throughout Titan7 we've had like a Super STI, and we built that and got rid of it, and now we're gonna keep the M2 because that's a pretty awesome car. And the Mustang, the lease is up, so we're gonna go get like a Jeep Gladiator.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go. We need a work truck, and then we've been thinking about getting a C8 Corvette too.
Ooh, nice, dude. I've been loving that car for sure. What do you
Mm.
think of the M2?
The M2 is awesome. I've owned E46 M3 in the past, and also E92.
Mm-hmm.
And the M2, it kind of takes me back to the E46,
Mm-hmm.
where it's a little bit more raw. It has all the modern amenities, but it's just short wheelbase. It has a little bit more character. It's just it's manual.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a delight to drive.
That's still the same motor as the M4, right? The S55?
So the M2, yeah, it's a detuned
Oh,
version.
okay. Got you.
Yeah, detuned, less horsepower. So actually, I think I think it's a derivative motor. I think the M2 competition now has the same motor as the M4.
Got
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I have right now. M4 and
Mhm.
the JB4 full exhaust downpipes. I love that car, man. It's the best car I've ever had for sure.
Yeah, it's fast. It does everything well, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's unfortunately going back to the dealer. So
What do
hopefully
you?
I'll be getting something soon, man. I can't say it on air until the paperwork's done, but
Okay.
I'm
All right.
excited.
All right. All right.
I'm gonna need
We'll
some
do a
wheels
follow up.
though.
Hey, give me a call, man.
I'm gonna
That's
need
what I'm
some
here for.
wheels. So when you started at Mackin, what were some of the skills that you realized that you had but you didn't know that you had? What did the owners and your leadership see inside of you that you honed in on?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think growing up, I was like inherently like a shy person, and and I quickly realized working there because I'm doing sales, you have to get over it. So I was really able to work on getting over, being shy, and and also growing up, in that era, everyone pretty much is trying to have that mindset of not giving a fuck, right?
Yeah.
So and so I kind of took on that type of that train of thought, and I think it was just my ability to just go out and call anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and just be persistent and make and hustle and make deals, make it happen. And obviously just seeing the growth of that, I think that's probably one of the main contributing factors of my growth there.
What was something that helped you get out of being shy? Like just being thrown into it?
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like the first time anybody travels somewhere and you do that cliff diving stuff. Um, it's on your head,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of, you just can't be just forget about being scared and forget about what anyone's going to say to you,
Yeah.
and just call in and just make the call and be persistent. If they like that, I kind of came up mean, with sales, the way I think about it is it's only a matter of time before they end up buying from you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they might hang up on you 100 times, but if you keep persisting and you keep persisting, at some point you're gonna get them, right?
Yeah.
And so I think just getting over the fear and understanding that if I was scared and I wouldn't pick up the phone and make business happen, I'd get fired, right?
Yeah.
So just very simple thinking, right? Like, hey, if I don't do well, I'm gonna get kicked out, right? So I better get over whatever is bothering me and just get to it and
Yeah.
just put in the yeah, just put in the work. That's it.
Definitely, man. So let's talk about Volk. You say you got in there barely when they made that deal to be the exclusive distributors of Volk.
Yeah.
What was that like in the beginning?
Oh, it was super interesting. Like the hit wheel that they were bringing in at the time was the AV3.
Okay.
So it was like a 5-spoke wheel, beautiful wheel, multi-piece wheel, and that pretty much brought about like the Rotas and the Koenigs, all the replica wheel industry for the tuning market segment.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a wheel that pretty much set that off. And then at the same time, there was this simple 6-spoke wheel called the TE37.
Yeah.
And I remember it was a 6-spoke wheel. They colored it in white, and I remember taking it to shops, and people would kick me out of there. They'd be like, they're like, what is this ugly wheel that you're bringing over to me, right? And so it's so funny because now everyone loves that wheel, right?
Yeah.
And and I would have to just go preach the wheels to shops, and people would literally kick me out of their shops not wanting to buy it. And I'd be like, no, wait, no, the wheel. The reason why this wheel is so cool, it's light, strong, forging and all that, and I have to do it's all about preaching and educating, right? And just talking to anybody that's willing to listen, and that's like the uphill battle, right? And then at some point you keep preaching about it, then you're gonna hit that crest, and it's gonna start moving faster, right? And people are gonna realize that it was good, and I think it took a good, almost a decade for it to before it really started hitting, right? Then you start seeing it on all the race cars. Right, we start working with a lot of race programs. People start realizing when they take it to the track, or even on the street, it would hit potholes, and on the track it would hit all kinds of horrible things, and it would still survive, and that's where it kind of built its legendary status.
Now, was there a lot of people pushing that wheel, or was it mostly just you?
Well, Mackin was on. Well, yeah, we had a couple sales guys, so it was always a small team, probably anywhere from 2 to 4 guys at a time when I was there, and I was the lead guy, pushing those wheels at the time, and just developing relationships with businesses and distributors, and in the beginning it was really tough, like, because who wanted to buy, like, back then a 17-inch wheel? It's not as much as it is now, but it was probably $500-600 or $700 or something like that. I don't remember, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. Especially back in the days, right? And for you to overcome that perceived value of what the customer was thinking, because they're like, this is not worth it, right? It was a really hard thing to do. Now people are just buying it like without even thinking about it, right? And then that was the part that I'm proud of, that we were able to accomplish, the marketing and the push to turn it into what it is today. It's pretty much the Air Jordan of wheels.
Oh, definitely. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest wheels out there, man. That's
you put a different color on it, people just go crazy, right? So
now the first wheel, you said that was the wheel that spawned like knockoffs?
The AV3.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. AV3, the 5-spoke wheel. Mm-hmm.
What was it that you think about that wheel that made other people see that as an opportunity?
Well, we're selling a shitload of them. So, so we're selling a whole bunch of them, and I think that really was the beginning. And at the same time, like Fast and Furious and all that started happening, right? And so, entrepreneurs, they saw that as an opportunity, because the AV3 was a very expensive wheel. Why don't we bring out, a much cheaper copy to offer wheels in the lower price segment, right? That's business, right?
Yeah. And there was no way to protect against that?
I think there are ways you can register it as like a design or whatnot. But if you change, like the wheels are changed around enough for you to have a hard time, right? You can always like go into litigation and sue somebody and just waste time and waste your like competition. Somebody told me that there's different ways to compete, right? You can compete on product quality, you can compete on price, right? And you can also compete on time, meaning like you can just sue somebody, right? And then you can go after them, and you're going to end up spending money, but you're also going to force the other side to spend money and time as well. So we didn't feel like that was a road that we wanted to go down. We're just too busy selling our own product, and since we were taking the high end route and the low end route, I don't think you're going to have the same customers.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, a guy that's looking to spend $4,000 on a set of wheels, he's not going to really consider like something that was like $1,000, right?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone has their own lane, right?
Yeah. So, I've always thought about it just like a diabolical way, as if the main manufacturer, if they like had somebody else running like the knockoff company, and then they're just eating the whole pie.
Oh, it happened. That kind of stuff definitely happened. There's companies out there. There's stuff in the past. You've seen the rise and fall of companies because they did stuff like that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Remember Racing Heart back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like a competitive brand out of Japan, and everyone loved that wheel, especially in the '90s. And then the company that was importing it at the time, they had that idea. They created a cast wheel brand called RH Evolution, and so people were attributing, the brand to the Japanese brand, even though it was like a cheap cast one piece wheel, and they sold shitloads of them in the beginning, but then I think people started to realize what was going on, and eventually I think that brand started to fizzle out.
Yeah. So working at Mackin, what are some of the memories that you have from working there? Maybe events that you've been able to attend, people that you've met, cars that you've worked on. What is something that like stands out from those?
Oh my God. It's just like this huge, big, I've done so much, like everything from probably one of the coolest things was, at the time, Rays, they were, participating in Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to get like hospitality and go to a lot of F1 events. So that was probably some of the most amazing times that I've had.
Nice.
Went to all the different F1 events. You sit in the paddock with like famous people.
Yeah.
I remember we were in Montreal at an F1 race, and you see like Drake, Rihanna, all these people just cruising through, right? And I didn't really care about that, and then I see Andrew Bynum walk by.
Uh-huh.
Remember the Laker a long time ago? I don't know if you remember.
No.
He was a Laker during Kobe's second run with Paul Gasol.
Okay.
And so he's one of the centers, and I know he's a F1, and I saw him and I was like, oh, I gotta go take a picture with him.
Yeah.
And so I run over to him. Oh, Andrew Bynum, I'm a big Laker fan from LA. Can I take a picture with you? And he's like, no, man. And then I was like, why not? He's like, that's the ripple effect. I was like, the ripple effect. Yeah, man. Yeah, take a picture with you. I got to take a picture with everybody. And then I look around, like, bro, we're in Canada.
Wow.
And nobody gave a shit who he was, right? And so he looked around and he's like, all right, let's take a picture. And then I take a picture with them. Like, he gives the phone to his team, and they take a picture. I take a picture with them, and then he walks off. And then the Ferrari guy, he's like, who is that? I was like, that's Andrew Bynum from the Lakers. And he's like, whatever.
That's funny, man. Yeah, you just get to that point.
But yeah,
where people they just think
man,
too much of themselves, and they don't understand that like you're nothing without your supporters. You're nothing without the fans or the people that are gonna to support you.
Right. Yeah. And I think working, going to F1, I worked on the Fast and Furious movies a lot.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah. So, the first Fast and Furious movie, they came up to us and wanted some help. And like honestly, I didn't believe in the movies.
Yeah.
The first one,
Uh-huh.
I was like, what is this shit movie
Yeah.
coming out? And then, but still, we wanted to help,
Yeah.
and because that's just kind of like our ideology, right? We always want to help, right?
Yeah.
And so we had some wheels, maybe not on the main cars, but we had some wheels out there. And then the second one was not a good movie,
Yeah.
and then the third one was Tokyo Drift. And so I had so because it was based out of Japan, they wanted to put some authenticity
Yeah.
to it, and I got raised to kick down hundreds of wheels,
Wow.
probably like 300 wheels for the movie,
Oh
right?
shit.
And then so if you watch Tokyo Drift again, most of the wheels were on raised wheels,
Okay.
and and then I remember the final car was the old Mustang,
Yeah.
with RB mode, right? And they're like, we need to put wheels on this, and I was like, no, it's not. Like you guys are crazy. I don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to get somebody else. And I was like, fine. So I went down there to measure it. So it was a really cool experience to work with the guys at Picture Cars, and just all the hustle of shipping the wheels, getting everything on time, delivering it, getting to see the builds, and we were fortunate enough to go to the premiere.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, walk the red carpet. That was super cool. And yeah, that was probably the pinnacle or the height of our involvement with Fast and Furious. But after that, we were still helping out. Like if they needed help on wheels, we always do our best to help.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. Yeah, I really like Tokyo Drift. That's such a cool movie, man. There's a lot of nice cars in that one.
Yeah, and to say that I worked on all those and did the fitments for those cars, it was a really good time.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was the decision that made you want to leave Mackin?
Getting well. Around 2016, I was like 39 years old. And so, if you work anywhere, once you get to the point where you're hitting about 40, maybe it's midlife crisis or something like that, you start to take a step back and like, okay, what did I do with my life?
Yeah.
Right. And so then you start just thinking, and, I was at the crossroads though. I felt like I hit like a ceiling. Maybe I wasn't being too challenged. Things were going great. They were going great. We got out of the recession. Business was booming. It was good. Maybe too easy. I don't know. And at the same time, everybody's like, oh, it's time for you to get out. Like a lot of the generation older than me, right? Very successful guys, right? Out there, like the James Chens and the Howard Lims, and some of the OGs in the industry, right? A lot of those guys they've been like mentors to me growing up, and they were pretty much telling me like it's about time you need to do something for yourself, right? And like prior to that, I really didn't feel that because I loved what I was doing. It wasn't really for the money, although I was getting paid well and I had a lot of perks. But as I got older, marriage was imminent, right? And like I can see like the next stage of my life happening, right? And so you have to think about like, did I want to spend the next half of my working career doing this? And so I took stock of that, and ultimately I came to the decision that I didn't want to do that, right? And then originally, what was I going to do? And I was just going to just hustle again, right? Just put myself in a position where I had to work hard, right? Work hard, just challenge myself. And yeah, that's, ultimately that's really what happened. So originally I was going to do private label, just manufacture parts for people. And then a group of guys I got together with, we saw an opportunity to launch our own brand. And I told them the only way I would do this is if there was like something new I could bring to the table. I just didn't want to be like any other company. Right. And I know for the longest time I was like preaching to Rays, like we need to come out with like a more affordable forged wheel. We have to. They made some attempts, but it didn't come out to what I thought could be like a really solid, like lasting program, right? And I found that opportunity with our partner factories, and yeah, we made it happen. and I guess the idea worked. Idea made sense, and now look at us now.
So Titan 7 is you and Aaron.
So we have three working partners.
Okay.
So we have myself. So I handle like supply chain, anything with factories, quality, um, private label. So we make wheels actually for a lot of different companies, everything from tuner shops to wheel companies. So I'm responsible for that. So I'm in Asia all the time. Aaron is he's kind of like our brain trust, support, back end, all the financial stuff, taxes, inventory,
Gotcha.
the business operations ends of it, right? And then we have James, who's like our sales and marketing.
Okay.
So he came from the fashion industry. So like you and him would totally rap about like sneakers and all of those type of things,
Got you.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So well, if you've been to LA, he was one of the founders and co-owners of Attic, which is like they used to sell all the Jordan, all the Nikes and everything like that
Okay.
back in the day. So, but he handles all the sales and marketing for Titan 7, and so we formed like a really good trinity of people that can bring in like the right pieces to the puzzle.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, to start the business, we needed money, so we found an investor, and it's a company called the Piercy Automotive Group.
Mm-hmm.
So they own like Honda World and a bunch of other dealerships throughout California, and so they're able to help us get us started.
Very cool. So the business started in 2016.
We started in like late, yeah, we put it together late 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and then we started shipping in middle of 2017.
Very cool, man.
Yes. So we just, I was just working really hard just to make sure the product was as good as it can be before we shipped it out. And it was tough, in the beginning, like our first winter in 2017, I really did not know how we were going to pay our bills, pay rent. It was pretty scary. At the same time, my now wife, she was going to nursing school. And so I had to support her. So, so it was a really stressful time, but we made it through. And because during that time, no one believed us, nobody who knew we were. Luckily, I had a little bit of experience in the industry, so those connections really helped us to push us through. And the first spring of 2018, things started taking off, and then the right people started getting to the right people's cars, and people were getting really happy with us and our service. And in 2019, we more than doubled. So every year we were doubling the business.
Wow. Congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you. And then 2020, we started pretty strong, but we took a hit, but we're still alive. Things are happening, so it's okay.
So what do you think led to the growth of the business? Would you put a lot of stock in marketing?
Everything. So I think a company has to do everything right, right? So if you just do only one thing, well, you can't survive long term with that. So I think our marketing is on point. The product, I think that's the most important part, right? The product has to be good,
Yeah.
right? So it has to live up to the value. It has to be, in terms of a wheel, it has to be strong, light, it has to fit right, and of course, it has to look good.
Yeah.
Right? So there's that, and then the marketing. It's more of a track focused wheel, but we treated the marketing like how like some of the more successful companies at the time were pushing their products. Like I would say like Vossen, they or any of those type of guys. The marketing programs were just on point. So we wanted, or Vorsteiner as well. We wanted to make sure that we have really good creative, good photography, good photo shoots, good locations, right? So that was super important to us. And also utilizing all the tools they had through social media and whatnot. And then the next part is service, right? You can't survive for a long time if you don't have good service.
Mm-hmm.
So we always wanted to make sure our wheels are as available as possible. So our end goal is to have wheels either in stock or you're going to wait 30 days or less. So that's our directive, right? And then if there's a problem, we take care of it and we fix it.
Very cool.
Right. So you have to go above and beyond customers' expectations, even if it costs you money. So we've had guys that shouldn't be, replacing wheels because they probably did something on their own, but we'll just take care of it.
When did you realize the value of customer service?
Oh, since I was a kid. So my first job was working at a bank, and the one thing that they ingrained into us, whether they actually followed that rule or not, was you wanted to exceed. You always want to under promise and over deliver, right? So you want to, when the customer comes up to you and they have a problem and they're walking away kind of shocked that on how well you took care of them,
Yeah.
then you've done your job. So we want to try to care. So that's a huge part of what Titan 7 is. In the end of, it's not worth it for us to like fight and squabble with little problems that a customer has over a set of wheels. We'll just take care of it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of guys that have experienced our brand, they realize that. And I remember in the beginning of our business, like there was a guy, he had a Civic Type-R, and this guy Aaron, and there was a problem with the wheels, right? And I literally like I got a set of wheels from the warehouse, and I drove it up like an hour to where he lived, in the middle of the night to go drop it off to him, and he was super surprised, and he was really yeah, he was super impressed by our service, and he even offered to put money into the company. So
Wow.
yeah, so I think just those kind of little things, that we did, people like, it's like putting money into a piggy bank, right? It all adds up.
So what is the meaning of the name?
Um, James, our partner, when we used to play golf a lot, he'd always joke around like, "Oh, company Titan Wheels, Titan Wheels."
Yeah.
And so when we finally decided to do that, we were like, okay, we'll use Titan, but we can't just use Titan,
Yeah.
right? It just doesn't sound right. It sounds too generic. And so the official meaning of Titan 7 is Titan and 7 are the 7 attributes of a good wheel company.
Okay.
Yeah, but ultimately 7 just sounds cool. So.
So what are the 7 attributes?
I think I have to pull out my Excel sheet for
No
that,
worries, no worries.
but ultimately, I mean, it's like the things that we're talking about, right? You need good product, right? Good service. It has to be incredible value. And then it has to be technically proficient. So I think really what it means is we're trying to check off all the boxes.
Got you.
Right. So a lot of like going back to what I said is you have to try to do everything right. So we wanted to offer a product that will check off all the boxes. There aren't any like trade-offs, or there's no catch to it.
Yeah.
Right. So you have this really awesome product, but it doesn't cost like an arm and a leg. Right. So that's really where it came from. And also our company model, Forge for All. We just wanted to prove that anybody can enjoy the benefits of like this premium product, but it won't cost you like all your entire savings. So.
Can you break down forged versus cast, and actually what makes forged better?
Yeah, so I think most of the wheels in the world right now are manufactured using casting. Okay, so most OEM wheels are manufactured with cast. So that technology, it's been around for a long time. A lot of things are made like that. So it's you get like molten aluminum, and then you pour it into like a mold, right, for it to take its shape. So you can either add pressure to it, or you can use gravity to let it set. But it's a very economical way of manufacturing wheels. You can do really good designs, and it's it's you can build really good street-worthy wheels, with casting.
Gotcha.
Okay, but the reason why forging really came about was that because of liability. If you notice, like most OEM wheels, especially back in the days, they're super heavy. They're really heavy because they need to be really strong. Because the last thing an OEM wants is to get sued because a wheel cracked or broke or whatever, right? So that provided an opportunity for like higher end wheels. And so the next thing that came about was like a forged wheel. So a forged wheel is you get like a solid piece of aluminum, right? And in almost all cases, it's a higher grade of aluminum, right? So like aircraft grade, like a 6061, and they apply millions of pounds of pressure for it to take its shape.
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can imagine, so like the difference between forging and casting. So casting, think of it as like pancake batter,
Okay.
right? When you pour it onto a pan, there's like some air in it, right?
Got you.
Right. So that's like the inherent problem with a cast wheel is that you're going to get some porosity or like little micro air bubbles. So it's not like a solid structure, right? And even to this day, you still have those problems. So that's why like cast wheels, they have to be X-rayed, to make sure that they don't have like big holes.
Got you.
Otherwise, that can lead to failure. And then in racing, with cast wheels, that's usually the issues that you're going to have. Like if there's like some porosity in there, and after you're going to add a lot of pressures and force to the wheel, then micro cracks can happen, and then you're going to have a wheel failure over a period of time, right? So with forging, you have the solid chunk of aluminum, and then you add incredible pressures for it to take its shape. Then you can just imagine like how strong that's going to be.
Yeah.
Right. There's no porosity. You have this really good grain flow. So it has a lot of good properties of like repelling forces, right? And then after that, you have the ability to make it real light because it's so dense, so strong. Then you can take a lot of material out of it, and it's a lot lighter. So you're going to have best of every world. It's going to be light, strong, durable, and then people start figuring out in racing that when you have a lighter wheel, it's going to help your car go faster. It's going to brake easier, less strain on the drivetrain, even better fuel economy. And so once you have that, then the market developed for that. And so, but the problem with forging is that initially it's really expensive.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of people, when they think of forged wheels, it's like, wow, it costs so much money, right? So it's out of my budget, so I'm not going to even think about it. And so that's where we came in. So the things that we do differently is we're a lot more efficient. And with our company and our business, we still only have 4 people working for our company, even though we've doubled and more than doubled, tripled in size over the past couple of years, right? And we use a lot of technology to provide us a lot of our operational work, and then also with our ordering, with our manufacturing, everything is done in batches. It's not like a custom forging program. So when you do that, the costs go up a lot because it's like 4 at a time. So with us, we buy, in bulk, basically. Kind of like the Costco, right? Mm-hmm. You buy in bulk, so it's cheaper, but we do sell it 1 at a time to the customer. So we pass all those savings on to the customer.
Got it. So there's a lot more on your guys' plate as far as inventory-wise. You have to bring in more and sit on more?
Oh, yeah. We have, right now, probably sitting on, 2,000 wheels. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So where are the wheels made at?
They're made in our partner factory in China.
Okay. So when you say that the piece of aluminum is forged into it, so you'll get like a slug piece, and then that piece goes to the CNC, and then they'll cut it out?
Yeah, so basically that's what happens. So what happens is you're going to get this chunk, this cylindrical block of aluminum. And then in our case, we use like an industry-leading 10,000 tons of force. And then there's like an initial die shape. So like basically a mold.
Got you.
And so they use that die to form it into like a certain shape. So like in essence, it's kind of like a U, right? Like a U shape. Okay. And then so by squeezing that much aluminum, you're enhancing the properties of the raw material. And then we will do a spin forging to bring out the edges, right? So that U shape, the edges, we bring out the ends, and then you get like the width of the wheel.
Okay.
Right. And then from there, you're going to do like heat treating and a lot of other processes to lock in the strength. And then you CNC like the spokes, the hub, and the final roundness of the wheel. And then you get what you need.
And you've seen this process done from start to finish?
Oh, yeah. All the time. We have videos. You can go on our website. I'm living in factories like probably half the year.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy. Like, going back to how like the wheels are made in China, right? So it's interesting because I come from, very high-end Japanese manufacturing, right? And so going to these factories, it's awesome because it's like playland, because because all the latest machinery, testing equipment, it's all at my disposal, right? And I think what they were lacking is that if you go in their sample rooms are just a lot of knockoff type product, right? Because they're not car guys. Yeah. They're factory industrial guys, but they're not car guys. So I go in there and we made, incredible relationships, and we've been able to up their game in terms of product planning and for them to understand what the market needs, and also selling them on believing in us. right? And so by doing that, they had the incredible investments in terms of like coming out with different molds and stuff with what we needed,
Mm,
and um, yeah, it all paid off. It was tough because we had to pay our dues,
yeah.
and a lot of people didn't believe us, in the beginning, and we had to do a lot of preaching on that side and also the customer side, and fortunately, everything worked out. A lot of headaches along the way.
I
Trust
bet,
me, a lot of
man.
headaches, a lot of craziness. But that's why you got to put in the work. So I'm in Asia. Well, before COVID happened, I was going to Asia 5, 6 times a year. So
Now, do you speak Chinese or do you have a translator?
I have a partner that speaks Chinese.
Got you, got you. How do you find a factory that you could communicate with and that's reputable? I'm not saying for you, but just say for somebody that's trying to start off some manufacturing, rather than just flying to China and just trying to find something. Like, what steps would you recommend to taking a business to the next level?
It's a lot of trial and error. So I think like China, Asia is a huge place, right? There's millions of factories. Um, Not all of them are good. It's I think it's just a lot of trial and error. So we have to. We were fortunate enough where the factories that we're currently working with, they're ethical. They have a great capacity. Um, they have the willingness to listen to what we have to say, and then now it's easier because we've kind of paid
Yeah,
our
yeah,
dues,
yeah.
right? And now I get hit up by factories all the time
Mm,
to go check them out. So there's so many factories, right? I've been to so many. Most of them, not that great, but there are occasionally there's some that show up, and you're just like, wow, there could be something to it, right? But then from there you have to go through the trial and error process, the vetting process. You have to give them a shot, try things, kind of ramp up to it, and the best advice that I can give is you just gotta do as much homework as you can on the company. Um, but ultimately, you just got to give it a shot. So
got you,
yeah, and if it doesn't work out, you just got to move on. So
got you. So when the wheels get finished over there, are they completely finished, boxed, and ready to go?
yeah, everything is done A to Z in one place.
Very
Yeah,
cool, man. Is the finish
yeah.
a powder coating?
So it's still paint. So it's initially it's blow coated, but it's still a paint, like automotive type paint. Yeah, but it goes through different stages where you have like a base coat, then you bake it, then you throw on a clear coat, and then you bake it for durability. So
Is there any options for custom colors or anything like that?
not really. So if we do something of the custom nature, it still has to be built in batches.
Got you. Okay, got you, got you, got you.
Yeah, so we can't have a guy call me and say, "Oh, I want blue." That means I have to, build a whole bunch of them. So,
But can you get the wheels raw?
I no, no, not so. Yeah, we're trying to get away from.
Like more
We're
custom
more and
stuff?
more selling like complete product.
Got
Yeah,
you.
there's no custom. So we're not no different than like an exhaust company or like an intake company. Like the exhaust is made for the car.
Got you.
So like if you've probably shopped for wheels before, and when you go onto a website or whatnot, you see just big chart,
Yeah.
right, with like size, offset, bolt circle, and you're like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about,
Yeah.
right? So and most people they don't know. So another thing that we're doing, I think, more differently and a little bit more smartly is that just we're setting up the car properly based on the brakes, the suspension, and the tires that the car is going to run, and we spec out the fitment, and this is what's for the car. So unfortunately, there's guys that call us all the time, like, "Can you make it for this car?" And we're like, "We can't because we make it application specific."
So how do you guys add new vehicles to the line? What do you get do you bring a vehicle into the shop and get the specs, or what makes you want to jump into a different market?
I think Titan 7, we want to, we're not like a JDM company or a Euro company. We're an American company.
Hmm.
So as long as that there's a performance market for the car, we want to make something for it. So if people are building it, putting more power adders, they're doing suspension on it, then I think we want to be a part of it.
Very cool. So what are some of the platforms that you guys are working with right now?
Our top selling fitment is the Civic Type-R for sure. So we but we also, deal in, some Toyotas, Lexus, the new Supra, did all right for us. CTR is really strong for us, but also like the BMW M cars, M2, M3, M4, those are all very strong for us. But also we have fitments for Camaro, for Mustang, right? That's why we bought a Mustang, because we wanted to build one and really, get to know the market.
Yeah.
We're even messing around, just trying out off-road wheels, right? Just performance forged off-road wheels, and we didn't really even market it, and we sold out. So yeah, so anything that's performance based that has an opportunity for improvement, we want to be part of it. I think the next thing that we're working on is probably the C8 Corvette. So we already have some samples coming in, maybe some center lock Porsche stuff, again,
Cool.
real race stuff. But yeah, we're always trying to. In the beginning, I think we were just trying to establish like our identity and our just the operations, and just getting our feet wet into the business. And now I'm having fun. I'm working on even new materials. I'm working on like all kinds of crazy shit that we're just sending out to get tested. We're gonna put them on race cars, have them try it out, get feedback. Even like the cars that have been running on our wheels at the racetrack for 3 seasons already.
Yeah.
3 seasons already. We're gonna take the wheels back and have them analyzed and cut them up. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, and looking for ways to build upon it and make it even stronger. So
Very cool, man. What about accessories, lug nuts, and things like that?
yeah, so we have a titanium lug program called OWL, or Obsessed with
Uh-huh.
Lightness. So it's really cool. We were able to get a design patent for it. So it's like our first patent. So
Very
we're
cool.
really stoked about that. Um, but yeah, so we have a titanium program that's for like 14 mil, so like Civic Type-Rs, Teslas. We actually sell quite a few Tesla wheels.
Mhm.
That market's really nice for us. And then also like typical Japanese and Japanese outfitted. So we might be expanding into some European products as well, but we're taking everything one at a time.
Yeah, I think one of the first times that I heard about the company was through Honda Pro Jason
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
CTR. So you guys have a lot of CTRs that are using the wheels?
Yeah, I think that's our bread and butter. We love the Civic Type-R community. The car is awesome platform. Does everything. Yeah, it's kind of like Titan 7. It kind of does everything right.
Yeah.
Right. It has great space, great fuel economy. It's awesome on the track. It's awesome daily driver. May not look the best, in my opinion,
Yeah.
but so it almost checks off every box. But still, like it has its, it has its good points. It checks off most boxes, right? And I think the timing was perfect because the CTR just came out as our company was launching,
Mm.
and we went really aggressive with fitments. We saw what other wheel companies were doing, and it just wasn't. We didn't think it was enough. So luckily, we were able to get our hands on one a lot earlier than most people, and we spec'd out the right fitment, and now I think we have one of the best ranges of aggressive fitments for the track for that car.
Very cool, man. I love it. Those wheels do look really good on his car. I like it.
Thank you.
So, you said that you wanted to try something new. Things were getting pretty complacent. What when you started the business and these last 4 years, what have you noticed about the changes in your life that maybe reawoke something inside of you?
Well, I think first it was probably the anxiety and the danger of failing, right? I've never really experienced that before,
Mhm.
right? Because before I was working at an established company, and you always had that like safety net, right? And it wasn't even your money that you're playing with,
Yeah,
right? So, when it came time for our company to start, yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest things in the beginning, the anxiety, you know, just just thinking about it. You're sleeping, dreaming, eating. Like I wasn't before I would eat dinner and then I'd just go straight to work.
yeah,
Right after, I'm still doing that right now. Um, I think that's probably one of the biggest changes. But at the same time, you're also a master of your time as an entrepreneur. Everything in life, everything's about decisions, right? So I have the ability to make decisions on every second, every minute of what I do. Right? It's not somebody telling me. How I should spend my time,
yeah.
right? So, but also with a lot of freedom comes a lot of danger. I have to make sure that I'm using my time properly, and not fucking around or anything like that, right? So, That's a huge difference in life. Um, and then as the company started to grow and people started to um, accept your brand, I think you get a lot of gratification. Just people coming up to you and telling me like how cool it is what we're doing. I think that's been super gratifying, and you always have to look for ways to motivate yourself, right? Whether it's somebody talking shit or somebody's telling you something nice, you have to just take that, put that all together and figure out ways to put yourself forward.
So how do you stay motivated? Like,
Yeah, like just in every way possible. I think in business, of course, numbers, right? That's one thing you want to keep growing, right? But I think as since my role as a supply chain, I'm really interested on actually improving the product, right? So even like from the guys that bought our TS5 from the beginning of our company when we first started to now, like the product's improved.
mm-hmm,
Your lines are sharper, the logos are better.
mm-hmm.
Everything, neurally, everything is. So I think um, just like Singer, I love their line. Everything is important,
Yeah.
right? With their Porsches, they say everything is important. I really took that to heart, and I explained that to everybody that we work with. Every detail, everything that we do, we have to do it properly. So we don't cut corners. We do everything right. Um, we want to be efficient, but that doesn't mean we're cutting corners,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Definitely. So I want to talk about the new wheel that you have, the TD6. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's our interpretation of a six-spoke wheel. Um, I think when we first started the brand, we always wanted to have like a spoke type wheel because we've always been kind of meshy and like really thin spoked or whatnot. And it's been tough because I've been working on the six spoke wheel, our TD6 for since we started, so about 3 years,
Yeah.
right? So, and obviously the biggest fear or was where it came from. Everybody would be like, oh, it's like a T or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you really look at the wheels and compare it, there's really nothing similar besides just the original shape.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we design a wheel, we have to make sure it has all the right features. It's light, strong, has a lot of good technical selling points. But at the same time, when you look at it, it's got to look good,
Yeah.
right? So your knee-jerk reaction is it's got to look good. And so we added a lot of features in there that I think are very innovative, different, like the machining. So we did this triangulated machining where if you look at most wheel companies, when they like reduce weight on the wheel, they do like scalloping on the spokes, right? So we took that the whole way through, all the way to the hub and all the way to the rim edge as well. And I think that's something that's original thinking, something that's original. Um, yeah, so we're really proud to introduce it. We sold out our first batch,
Nice.
even during COVID. And so I really appreciate all the people that are supporting our brand. And yeah, it's doing well, and we're super excited to just keep expanding on it.
Very cool, man. I'm excited to see that wheel out in the streets. What have you seen it on?
Well, our first launch offerings is for the Civic Type-R,
Okay.
the Subaru STI, and for the A90 Supra. So you'll start seeing it on those cars first. And we were only thinking to offer it mainly to like Japanese
Mm-hmm.
fitments, but we're getting beat up by a lot of the BMW guys. So who knows? So we're not going to shut the door on anybody,
Yeah.
but we're not going to. We'll see.
That would be a nice one on the BMW for sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, do you offer anything in like just a regular Civic, like EGEK 4x100 setup?
No, we don't offer anything for the older vehicles right now. Like for Titan 7, we're trying to focus only on newer
Got
vehicles.
you.
We like I said before, we do make wheels for other wheel companies, and they may focus on something like that. But for now, we're trying to focus on new cars. But we're not going to shut the door on older vehicles. Like we've been beat up with 15s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so who knows? Maybe in the future. But for now, just newer cars.
I love it, man.
Hmm.
It sounds awesome, and I look forward to looking a little more into what you guys have to offer. Like I said, the most that I've seen was through Honda Pro Jason's car, And then just scrolling on there, just seeing some of the other pictures and like the BMWs and stuff. It looks really good, man. A lot of people are going with that kind of like machine style wheels, and the 3-piece, and feels like that's a little more played out at the moment right now. And
Yeah, I think for us and everything we do, we try to make sure that the design is clean,
yeah,
right? It's clean, and the most important part is I call it the knee jerk reaction. Right when you look at it, you got to be like, that looks good,
yeah,
right? That's the most, like, first impressions are so important, right? So I think that's really what dictates, how we style and design our product. It's got to look good from the get go, and then of course we have to make sure it's infused with all the right technical features.
So what do we have to expect from Titan 7 in the near future?
Near future, you'll see a lot more applications coming out from us. Also, I think on the service side, I think availability will be even better. Yeah, just reduced wait times for products. I think people will look forward to product continually improving. So we're trying to just reduce weight continually, constantly, and just overall, just a better, just refining our business to offer better service and also offer better product. You'll see also more race cars, a lot more, higher end cars running our product, and our service is still going to be there. And in the middle future, you're going to see a lot more innovative product from us, whether it's new materials or just crazier features that are infused with the wheels.
Full titanium wheel?
I can't say. We'll save that for another podcast.
Awesome. I love it, man. Now, before we get out of here, I got to hear, what is your dream car?
Oh, man. Dream car? Yeah, I don't know if as a kid, I always wanted like Ferraris and stuff like that. But now, you know what? My dream, I don't think I have a singular dream car, but I would love to have like a big garage just full of, I'm not really into classic cars, just fixed up cars. Like, I'd love to have a built EG that I put together. Probably another MR2. I probably wouldn't work on that, but and maybe like an E46, E92, just all the cars that I really enjoyed driving, over the years, S2000s, all of those, I wouldn't mind just a stable of that. And then, I don't think I have a dream car. I would just love a stable of fun cars that I could just take out. I wouldn't just let it sit.
Yeah.
And just take it and beat up. Yeah.
I love that you said the EG first.
I always wanted one in high school, but I had to go against the grain, so I had to get an MR2 no matter how I felt.
Have you ever had one?
No, I never had one. My brother had the Del Sol, so I had enough Honda flavor. But someday I will have one.
Dude, you have to get one, bro.
Yes.
K Series EG all the way.
Yeah, that's what I want. Exactly. I want a K Series. I like modern features. Just I'm not into like just completely restoring it all stock. I want it to be fucking fast and crazy to drive.
A K Series EG, maybe sprinkle a little turbo on there, a little all-wheel drive. You'll be good.
I don't know about all-wheel drive, but for sure. For me, I'd probably be K Series NA.
Yeah.
So, K Series NA.
Awesome,
I'd be happy
platform.
With that. Yeah.
Eddie, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's been an honor to be on here. I've listened to a lot of the podcasts actually leading up to this, and I love what you do.
Thank you.
And just keep doing it, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So before we get out of here, where could people find you at and the business?
Yeah, our company website is www.titan7.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, so we're pretty easy to find. Me personally, I'm mainly on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram is ed_funk.
Dope. All right, cool, man. Once again, thank you for your time, dude. I really, really appreciate it. Huge thank you to our sponsor, Heel Toe Automotive. Been around since 2002, providing you guys with all the parts you need for your Hondas, man. Make sure you guys check them out, heeltoeauto.com. And check out Titan7. They got a lot of awesome stuff, and those new TD7 or the TD6s. Those look awesome, dude. I love those. So make sure you guys check them out. And once again, this is Downtime with Downstar, episode 168. And wow, peace.